All right. Make sure the sound is good.
I like the idea of the background, the behind the scenes of like start.
Yeah, I know, right? It works.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, what they do is they'll start the stream, they'll put everything on mute in the background, and they'll have like some type of screen improvement, so the viewers kind of join it.
Getting some problems. Yeah, seems to be.
Yo, if you got problems, yo, I'll solve it. Check out my hook. Nice, baby. Doodle, doodle, doodle. Nice, baby. Stop. Back.
Just waiting for the internet to stop being.
I gotta do a test stream of myself at some point to see if I can stream wirelessly. But I also play video games usually. It's not just my face. Do you have a stander in the background?
A what?
Do you have stander in the background?
I think we left stander at James' house.
Okay.
It didn't carve, especially not with John and Caden.
No, fair enough. So, John, I don't understand what is this app that you always like plug with your dudes.
Best likeness?
Yeah. What is it? What does it do?
Oh, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of frame drops.
Literally just a picture of his roommate.
Shh.
Yes.
Don't say that.
Live.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to fix the frame drops.
Yeah. Like a loading screen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now it says you're live. Oh, yeah. Actually, it just loaded up as it's just skipped past there. When John said. So you're lucky.
Perfect.
For me, it was just missed.
That's ideal.
Yeah.
I still don't know what's going on.
It seems like it's working on live.
But is it?
Not really. This is just a picture. I don't see any camera.
I can hear it just fine.
Is it choppy?
Nope.
All right. Awesome. Welcome to the Villains Talk Show. I'm Jay. Followed by.
Yep.
And we're going around. So I've been interviewing to know who's who. And he's a career cook. He's a career cook. I met him through D&D. And he currently out the Great East to pursue
very great
to pursue exploits
to get close to the family.
To get close to the family.
Mindset of things. But
Insanieac, we need you to get close to the.
I wanted to sadly I live around here.
Sweet.
Please, I think so. Grade 2.
That's a great reason to go out there.
Yeah, Such a cute little kitty. He like locked himself in the car. Why he was like trying to kick me out of the car so that way he can lock himself in.
Kids are weird at that age.
Yeah, especially on my side of the family. I was a weird kid. Most of my mom's kids were interesting.
You are still pretty weird, so.
It was weirder back then, but yeah.
So you grew up in Calgary, up in Huntington Heights, went to Fowler, if I remember,
Mhm.
and you went to SAIT for culinary expertise.
Professional cooking is what the program is.
So what drove you to cooking?
Being able to have a job. That was my first and foremost thought process of being a cook.
So you don't enjoy cooking to some degree?
Not that I don't. So when it was more following up the first question. I became a cook just to have a job no matter what. But I found a passion for being a cook as I continued through my profession and found a reason to want to be there. Because I think we kind of talked on where like I ended up doing that. For me, I didn't really going to college and like the profession I was taking classes, and I had to pay $500 to $500 per class, and it was different. It was different, kind of like, but for me, it wasn't. They had a very strict kind of like an attendance policy. We had a new class every 3 weeks. If you missed 3 days out of those 3 weeks, you failed the class.
Wow.
Yeah. If you were late, if you failed the class, like for those, me and my do 2 of those days, and I would just put how long it would go. Like laggy, on mine, John, but not too much. I think you're okay with that.
So when you so what did you have to do? Like explain what you mean by these gauntlets of like 3 to 5 days. So did they just make you cook? Did they teach you something?
So it wasn't it was 3 weeks. It was 15 days for one class. And then yeah, if you missed 3 of those 15 days, you failed. 2 days where I would just be like, I'm not going to class today, and I'm just gonna get stoned and hang out at home. And or like just like do shit. And then I'd be like, oh, it's fine the one day. But then when actual shit would come up, and I'd miss a day. I would fail class, having 5 classes that I had to go back. Because like just random ones. But the other ones I managed to get off scot free. No worries about it for the first 2 years.
Hacking your way through class.
Yeah, it was cooking.
You mean chemistry? The theory
No.
of chemistry?
No, not the same. I wag my finger at you, sir.
It is the same thing, though.
No, you're talking about baking. Baking is not the same.
It's all in the pot.
No, sir. That is not. That is the voice of someone who has not seen. Baking is a science. Cooking is a sport.
I like that.
You can fumble your way through cooking and still be successful.
Through cooking and you'll be fine.
But if you bake properly, your shit is terrible. And right, people can tell, and it doesn't sell.
Too?
I can bake fish, like I can do cookies and like decent.
Oh,
like,
cookies.
So,
No one's able to match art.
I mean, it was alright, but I like fucked it up. I didn't know how much I was going to use for what, like how much icing I needed, and I didn't know how much ingredients I was going to need for the cake because I've never really baked that much of a cake in a while. I did like a cake. I was just like, I want to make. I'm a cook. I'm like, I want to do something cool, and so I decided to bake, which was not the good idea, but I did, and it was a good cake, but it was just it was not a very. It was like just chocolate and like basic ass like frosting, and that's
That
it.
sounds good to me.
It was alright. And then like it started falling apart though because the in between frosting I used to because I first one and then I got halfway and I'm like shit I don't have enough. It worked out. But baking
Sometimes
is
you have to
definitely
stab tall cakes so that they stay in place. You stab them with a stick.
probably would have been cool. My cousin had he had a like one of those cake kind of like stand things with the cover on top, so it all just kind of like sat there. A little bit fell into it, but it was alright. But definitely not my forte for baking. Cooking is I can cook you crazy soups. I can cook you any kind of sandwich, any unique anything fried something, steak grilled perfectly, no problem. Like my cooking, I care about my food. I genuinely in a weird note. I don't. I
You
but
don't like food.
I don't like food. I know it seems weird. I'm a weird person.
Not at all.
And yet you
No,
cook. Wow, what a
because
match made in heaven.
I like cooking food for other people.
You're like the bender.
Like but in the way of that it's not just for any other reason like for me when it comes to eating food if something is too chewy to process it actually makes me like physically sick and I almost want to fucking vomit like just from whatever is in my fucking mouth whatever it is so because of some of that stuff I'm like going through different restaurants and getting people who have fed me like garbage it's just like disgusting now to me and like cook it or I don't or I know someone who's actually cooking for me, it's usually shit. Like and I've been disappointed the last like 4 years every time I go to a restaurant. It's just not worth it for me. But at the same time I love cooking for other people. I love when people say, this is really good or they tell me like it's made them feel better or say if like it's a nutritional thing, maybe it helps them like in their health, their diet or something like that. Because when I had to go to school I learned to do nutrition and stuff like that. And I understand how to like eat and cook healthy. My diet is not really the best. I'm not like the best in my do as I say and not as I do, but work. I find it tends to work on like the restaurant that you're in. I like it, so I have greasy food all the time.
At my restaurant, at my bar, I am a horrible, horrible, horrible eater. I eat deep fried. Yeah, it's never good.
But I find as a cook, it tends to be the place that you work at is usually where you eat the most.
It's so true.
And in my mind, that like I want to work at a place that cooks here for the reason I wanted to. I'm trying to get a job in a freshie for a while, but at the same time, they don't really pay that well, and it's more of like it's like a fast food kind of like fresh food thing, but it's still in my mind like a good way to start. But like I haven't found anything like super good. There's one close, so
I can't really do that because I own a bar and I serve truckers.
So. Yeah, no, it's different. So the circumstances are different here.
I get kind of
truckers don't like and all sorts of health food.
Oh no, Sarah.
See, but you could still do other things like making something. This is something that I want to look into is how do you find a way to work with like certain types of medicine and make it in a way that works with like so that way certain types of food actually are helpful and healing to you. Like say like a stew or something or a soup that like chicken noodle soup that like processes like inflammation and various like illnesses and things that you might have to make you feel better. Process some various immunities or process things that are shit for your system out for you. That's like my drive that I want to do is find a way to take like I want to go to learn how to work with natural medicine and find a way to how to put that into my cooking because it's so different than any other type of herb like oregano or basil or pay leaves. It's literally a different type of work. You just have to know how to process it the right way. Might take a drink. I've been sous chefs. I'm not currently a sous chef. I'm a supervisor. For me, the position doesn't mean much to me. That work there and what they do. I could give a fuck what position I'm really in. As long as I'm getting paid, there's actually like give a shit.
So what do you do?
Right now, I'm the night supervisor for the most part. I'm usually closing all the time by myself because we're slow enough that I have to send people home, and I'm also good enough. I'm overqualified for my positions. In the kitchen by myself and without anyone else's help. I have like up from say we have 4 people in the kitchen all day, at most sometimes 3, and like for so like 5 hours on an 8-hour shift every night.
Nice. So, does that mean you now enjoy cooking, or is it more still cooking for others that drives you? Like,
For others, like I'm trying to find, like I said, I want to find a way to make
I guess I should
my
phrase
cooking
that.
about health food, right? But that's something I'm trying to. It takes steps to get the right way.
Always, sometimes like nights and people that make it not worth it. Most people would. I can deal with them a little more assuredly. Is a good word.
Oh, I find because of my kind of experience, I get the ability to customers a certain way, and the management kind of, even if I'm not, but I'm not like talking out of my ass. So they kind of and go see because of, like I've got tattoos, piercings, and beauty hair. They immediately quiet down and they're like, "Oh, everything's good. We didn't mean to bother you. Just go back." I'm like, "That's what I thought. I just get to go back to the kitchen." Like, but
Are you
like,
saying you
I've,
use?
I it,
Yeah.
and I'm
Oh, random. Oh, it just comes to me.
I mean, when I look like your background for your live stream, sometimes people when I'm a nice guy.
I mean, do you need Jesus?
I mean, Jesus can be a really nice guy. I met him once before. One of my PlayStation.
So when did you graduate?
Well, call.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And did you get a job right away?
I maintained a job through college the entire time. I worked 2 jobs for the first, and then I was like, I'm not doing jobs for a little, and then I did 2 jobs. It was not fun. I hate doing 2 kitchens. It fucking sucks. I graduated. I think it was 2016 officially with the classes that I had all last and everything. My class finished though in 2014. I had to wait a year, and then I came back for my classes. And once I finished those classes, I got it in the mail. I got my diploma. So it wasn't like.
But you said you maintained a job. So like I know that was different for me. That's how I got into what I'm doing now. So there was no guarantee. So does that mean do you like as a living, do you feel like you're gonna keep doing it into the future?
Well, to some degree, like when we talked on the different sorts of jobs, it's not after school. Had I had more to think about,
Mm-hmm.
because I have taken any person. I mean, even though I that stuff, learned a lot. I got to learn from really great who had lots of things I'm probably never going to make, but all this shit from the school. And it, in my mind, there's a lot of didn't really like. I wasn't really part of the whole hookup culture, and I still haven't really, you know, been grinding. It's usually more getting stoned and then, talking about food or playing games. But for the most part, it was usually, going to class, work. Pretty much most of my schooling.
But I mean, when you finally got a job though, is now that you're in the gig for a little bit, like something you're going to continue with. You keep looking for.
I have to like open my own restaurant, but at the same time, like for me, it wasn't so much the mindset of like. I wasn't. I'm not really sure, honestly. But at the same time, yeah, I have more the aspirations of being a business owner in that regard, though, than being the chef of that place. I'd still like to have, the hand in a lot of decisions and figuring it out and testing the food and being shit. But at the same time, it's not. I depends. I have to. I don't really know. I haven't thought so hugely down the road yet.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I have like some goals, like goals, but on a smaller goals line up, and those smaller goals are in process.
So like what? Underpants, blank, and then pro. What are the goals?
I mean, like a car for vehicles, so that way I can get that money to eventually go to the place where it's going to learn the different herbs that I'd like to learn about, and the different herbs and medicinal things that can be helpful for that kind of thing. And then coming back and being able to use that, and also finding the right amount of people and saving the amount of money, talking perhaps to a bank about getting the ability to start kind of business. But I don't want to start with the initial that I want. I have a restaurant in mind to be a more like my profit building kind of business, and open my heart kind of main one that I want to do.
But that means you need draft. You need to at least, if you don't have.
I don't know what anything comes with business owner. If you have a job, because I'm waiting for other things to line up first.
Well, there's a lot. Like, so you went into the mindset that you'd be doing all this work, though. So why don't you eventually pursue? You don't have a degree. You could go back to a kind of basics of entrepreneurship.
I had planned to take business financing because I did like take my high school. I don't, but at the same time, for me, it's not. I know things to do, but at the same time, some of it's still like it works to know because I don't want to feed all of my ideas out into out into the internet yet. Have my in a row, so to speak.
Okay, but do you have these? Do you have these goals? Or are they like?
Well,
Let me reword this.
I just talked about it.
Yes. But was this something? Okay, let's turn this all around because I really want to talk about the because it's something that sometimes I love and I hate. Like I mean, like there's some days like I'm so excited to work for a full shift, and then other days where I hate my job every minute.
See, I find that for being not just being a cook is being the chef, and it's not there is things on the school pay for this or sucked off this guy to get here, or I slept with this dude. It doesn't matter. Being a chef is being somebody who actually cares about your food. Somebody who how it processed, and that people actually like the service on the way to you and recommends you, like and talks about the food the way that they should dedicate your product to your food. To your restaurant. Being a cook is just being. Okay, kids can do it all the fucking time. Like I've been watched lots of people do it. But
I
at the
don't
same
know,
time,
man. I've seen people throw water.
yeah, I you do it. The lemon is just
So
every stuff. It's fine.
if you
We're all gonna
ever,
fly.
anyone who watches this, if you
Fire a fire extinguisher and use the fucking the duty to kill any fire. Oil, that's what it's for. It's universal. They're in every fucking restaurant because they have to be.
just don't use water. Oh
No,
god.
never.
Get the fucking fire extinguisher. Don't.
Maybe a every TV would just go.
There is.
At least you hope.
Unless you're like smart enough to actually know how to fire, just get the fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
Don't build your burn your building.
That is hard dealing with fire. Just get. And if you don't
Pour
have
water on
access
it
to,
and your face.
if you don't have access to one, then just leave the kitchen
Exactly.
because they
Yeah.
should have insurance, or should be a flushing system.
Let them kick on. Stand.
Like,
Well, I mean, I really like Greek and Italian kind of like style cooking to start with, because it's style and you can make a lot of different things with it. There's so many different types of like it, and it comes with like fresh ingredients to cook ingredients. You know that those two types of cuisine such a huge palette. Pastas are great. For me, one thing I really do want to try is because like I'm a stoner. Um, my my restaurant that I do want to open eventually, like like one that I make a lot of is going to be like a weed lunch, and to have uh, like real fresh made fruit made with like wheat butter and like this product like that. Like I don't want to same does, and I guess there's already people that kind of do it, and I was talking. I
time?
I'm working.
Have you?
Of course, I'm
Harley
working on.
Morenstein. He has a new show. I was watching it today.
I'm working on the gaming chef, and we're going to be making videos that are different items and pop culture, like different movies and stuff like that. I kind of have in works that I've kind of recorded on. I'm still kind of to some degree, so I'm waiting for that before I start trying to record anymore, because it'll probably be a nicer setup from what I'm aware of. Fine.
That sounds good. Sorry,
Mhm.
I'm half looking up this new show he's on.
Your stream just went offline, Joe.
What was that?
Your stream just went offline. Why not on right?
It's funny because it says it's
now you're
good.
right. Yeah, now you're okay. Oh, okay. It's just a weird lag.
It says I'm good now.
My mistake. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. It only took half an hour.
It's a weird cut.
Great. But yeah. So your goal is just basically just, how do I say it? So when you went into cooking, you didn't really have these aspirations. You just build it off cooking. Good for
Yes.
you. Because
I used it as a cooking
I can't wait to get out of the kitchen.
I know what you mean. I do. I understand. That's why I'm excited. I'm excited to start my own kind of cooking thing in my home, because I don't have to worry about like dealing with like shit in the fucking corporate kitchen and dealing with stupid people and servers all the time. I still have to deal with stupid people because I'll be dealing with private clients, but I won't be dealing with everyday stupid people all the time anymore.
So you also told me that you stream though, and you stream video games. So
I do, and I'm hoping to do a test stream in the next little while to see if my connections.
If you had to ditch one for the other, which one would you take right now?
I would take streaming over cooking.
Okay, but you obviously have somewhat of a passion for cooking, so you wouldn't pursue.
I have way more of a love for video games.
I mean, that makes sense. I can see that.
It's over my job choice versus my love and hobby, my everyday pastime.
So you basically chose your job right in high school, and
Yeah.
you have no. Do you have any regrets?
I've had, but at the same time, looking past is not really something I do anymore. They're looking at the past of things. I'm gonna try to motivate myself for driving forward for a better future, for a better opportunity.
If you could change right now, get your complete skill set change, what would you be? Would you still? You can also say you could still be in cooking.
I genuinely think me being a cook has been for the best of my life. Not like the best thing of my life, but for the best of my life. But I don't know, like, if I did originally what I wanted to find a way to help people. I didn't really know how to do that when I was in high school, because there's many different ways to do that. And I didn't want to be a police officer because I've had issues with that. I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't think I'd be. I don't know if smart enough, but I don't know is the word. But I didn't feel confident in my abilities to be a doctor.
Okay.
I don't think I'd put my. I don't think I'd
between a doctor and a cook.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about as a means of like different things to help people. Like doctors help people all the time, right? Maybe I could be a nurse, but either way, it doesn't matter. I didn't think being in a hospital was something that I would wanted to do to help people.
Could have been a firefighter. Firefighter Insanieac.
Maybe. I never thought about a firefighter to some degree because I actually like when I was a kid I did get to go to like a firefighter kind of like hall for a field trip. It was kind of cool,
I could see you
but
be a
like
firefighter.
I never thought about it. That'd be interesting. I'd do it. I wouldn't hate. I'd hate the wake up though. Like I'd just getting up would just be such a slosh. I'd hate it. The alarm going off and having to get up. You're like, ah, dude.
But you're about to save someone's life.
But yeah, that would kick me in. That would be enough to kick me up. I think though, having that meant that remembrance as I wake up, like, oh, I got to do this. Like I have to, It depends, because I'm not in it, right? So I'm thinking from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my surface thoughts on that.
But so you'd still be a cook or a chef. Sorry.
I think I'd still be kind of a cook, but I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to help people when I did like food drives and stuff when I was a kid. I wanted to go to Africa and build schools and stuff like that, build houses.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really saw opportunities and chances to really do that. And then when I was in junior high, I think in grade 9, I moved out to Ontario, and then I was being a kid and learning different things. I also had a lot of issues growing up, so that's a look past and other things that made choices difficult on what I wanted to do and how
Play the sad
jazz
music now.
Yeah, Cry Me a River with the Smallest Violin. I know, but either way, I didn't have the mindset of who I wanted to be until I was in high school, and even then, I didn't know. I was just like, I guess I got to choose something. And I'm like, well, what's the easiest and most helpful thing I could choose? Being a cook.
What's the path of least resistance? I can just stand in the back of a kitchen and cook things.
Yeah, I learned how to do it in school, and it was easy as fuck. And cooking was.
And everyone mocked home economics. They didn't realize how useful it was.
Right? You literally need to cook every day.
Unless you're lazy.
I mean, I guess, but people have to feed themselves.
Man,
somebody still needs to be cooked for. Somebody needs to cook for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I get to be their chef.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I've
been working on some menus in the past couple of weeks. I gotta get some ingredients. And try them out.
So what excites you the most? If there's one thing about cooking that makes you want to
I was gonna say other than cooking, I was gonna say hot ass, but okay.
But other than a nice hot pizza ass, especially if it's a server that you get to look at every day, because I cannot say if I know this, but I do know the draw.
The draw.
So, but what's something? What pulls you out of bed? What?
Other than cooking or about cooking?
What excites you about cooking? Yeah, if there's something maybe.
It's the ability to affect people's lives every day. I don't. It seems so silly, but
because I've eaten at a lot of places that are just it's not some transcendental experience. It's just food in my mouth. And
no, it's not. And for me though, but it's not about the food, in my mind. Mm-hmm. It's about the experience to somebody. People get so upset when their food isn't right, and then there's people that also.
But that's their whole.
Hold up. There's also people that are so happy and their days are so much better when they get a good meal, like something that's actually nice and good, even if it's not super fucking on best ingredients, as long as it's good.
And then there's the people that just want to be mad. And it doesn't matter if their meal's perfect. It was wrong.
But there's always, in every industry, there's always a dickhead and a carrot. You can't do anything about it. There's no matter where you go, you're always going to see an asshole. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to be one too. Okay, I've dealt with Karens. I've had to tell off Karens. There's sometimes you don't get a choice. But at the same time, I know people that love this shit. One of the guys in my work, he's like, oh, I got to deal with bar fights all the time. He's like, I was all hyped every time I had a bar fight, and I kicked somebody's fucking ass. It was great.
Yeah, I feel not so fun.
cooks are crazy, and I understand everyone's got issues they gotta get through, and however it helps you deal with your shit at night, that's all good. I don't care. But
You're
for
telling me.
I liked being able to to know that me making good food had the potential to make someone's day better, or at least make someone's day less shitty. And for me, that was enough, and has been enough for a long time.
So what about? Let's go. You mentioned it. Let's go about dealing with other cooks. Because as an employer, I have employed many cooks that have been. What's a nice way to say it? Crack addicts, junkies, no shows, lazy.
That's a nice way to say it, huh?
Children.
Oh God, yeah, children.
Oh God, yeah. Exactly. That says it all for me too.
Oh no.
That reaction, children. God damn it.
Like I've employed a lot of not so fun cooks, and I've run through the ringer because it's very hard to find a good cook.
I know. I am one. I get people call me all the fucking time when I apply for a job. They're like, holy shit, this guy's got experience. And I get if I don't answer the one message, like when I applied to the place I work where I met Jeremy, this guy called me 10 times. I was in fucking school. I couldn't answer the phone.
That's crazy.
Like, he called me 6 times when I was in school, and then 4 times on my weekend because I didn't have a chance to fucking call him back. I was literally working at the same time too. So
okay, but yeah, cooking with others, like.
I mean, it can be fun. It can be fun. Man, that's just like that. I was gonna say fun and bad, but
it can be fun.
It can be fun. It can be fun. It can be bad. A little bit of both. I've had cooks burn me on purpose.
Yep, me too.
I've fucked up some cooks on purpose. I've also dealt with some good cooks, some really nice people who've been like learning, or also foreign cooks who are like new to the area or just like overseas and trying to like just get some money going and having a job, or this is the first thing that they could do because they don't have much else going on. They don't have like any they used to be a doctor in fucking India or something like this, or in somewhere else, and then they come here and in Canada and it doesn't mean shit. So now they got to become a cook for $14 an hour. I've had a couple of those. I feel bad for those guys,
but let's talk about the bad ones because those are always fun. Tell me. So like I got a horror story about a cook.
I was gonna say everybody's got a horror story. So you got lots.
Oh, I got so many. But one of the worst ones is when I took over the business that I own now. I had a head chef. I won't say his name. Great chef, but he would sexually assault the women staff. And I asked him to do a menu for me. Like, not a menu, but just like a price check. So we had nothing to compare our menu to.
Okay.
And he gives me a copy where it's all written out by hand. And I did one too. So I just did basic math. There's like one loaf of bread costs.
Yeah, food costing.
Yeah. Going down to how much each piece of bread costs. Turns out one piece of bread cost us like 12 cents or something. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at his prices and I'm sitting there looking at him on my desk and I'm like, where the fuck does he get his numbers? And they just didn't make sense. He just picked it. It like seemed like all of it. He just picked prices and just wrote it out. And it took him 3 months to do this. It took me 1 month to do it. And I got everything right. Hard. So I remember asking him, like, so how'd you get this number? How'd you get this number? How'd you get this number? And he's like, oh, well, I just took the price. And I'm like, well, and I did it right in front of him. Like, well, this is the price of how much we pay. This is how much we get out of it, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so that means that number becomes this because we divide it this much. And that means I get this number. So what are you telling me? And he quit.
He just didn't know math.
What gives, sir?
Well, here's the thing. He worked as a head chef on a cruise line for like 9 years.
Well,
So
because
I don't know.
I think for a cruise line, you probably don't need to. You probably don't do a lot of food costing. That gets a lot of bought before the cruise.
Yeah, it was horrible. Great cook though. Great cook. But just horrible,
He didn't work
horrible.
at all.
And then another hire I had, young guy, and he always show up late. He did his work. Like, don't get me wrong, he did everything.
Yeah.
But like, I eventually saw on the cameras he would go in the bathroom like 10 times a shift, and I found out later that
So he fucking cook.
he was just fucking shooting up the whole time.
Oh, lovely.
And I'm like,
That's what you want.
yeah. And then right when I needed him most, he just burned me. And then I had another cook who knew my vacation was coming up and wanted more money, so he burned me. And I almost couldn't go on vacation. I had to pretty much. Oh, that was horrible. But I did it, and it was worst 2 weeks ever. Well, I enjoyed my vacation, but at the same time, like,
I've had a number of like really like random like cooks that have not been the greatest. I've also dealt with I feel like I want to like say like tell my stories in a certain order, not really to make sense, but it's just because of the way like they escalate in the strangeness and weirdness and fucked up things that people do. I've more dealt with like stupid people than really like assholes than anything, except for the few cooks that have, like the one cook that really burned me. He didn't like fuck me up, but like he was trying to lie to like the fucking chef, and I had like scars on my arm. When I was working with Jeremy, he had worked with this guy that was training me all the time. We worked at this place called Carol Iron, and it was alright. It's like a steakhouse, and I've done a couple of steaks and shit, but like this before. But like they throw me on their window right away, and they barely even like give me a chance to get accustomed to the speed of like the 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 restaurant or like the way things are
the
like on the
service and
window.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So like I would start the like I'd get a bill and I'd start like plating it up. It's fucking like it's a roast with potatoes and fucking veggies. That's it. It's really fucking like simple. So but like there's like you have to put 7 slices of carrots and like 3 little bundles of broccolini, and it's whatever. But it was the little bit. But I hadn't had the muscle memory of picking up exactly fucking 7 carrots with a pair of tongs yet. So I had to sit there and like count it out every once in a while. And like the minute I got more than 2 bills, this dude's telling my trainer, "Oh, he needs a hand. Come help him. Come help him." And I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?" Like, so like eventually I got to the point I was getting frustrated with this dude. I'm like, "Dude, like I don't need your help." Like he'd call to help. I'm like, "No, you stay there. I will tell you when I need help. Like, you don't need to listen to him. Like I know what's going on. Like if I need help, I will tell you." Like, but this dude, he would always lose his shit on me. Whatever I did, he would freak the fuck out like I killed his dog or something, or beat his wife. Like it was just whatever it was, I shit on his cornflakes, and it was just not good for him. And like I burn a bread, and what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what the fuck you're doing? You're wasting food costs. I use a takeout ramekin instead of an in-house ramekin. He's yelling at me about food costs again. I'm like, "Oh, this is like 45 cents. You're wasting money." And I'm like, "Dude, do you want me to pay it like $1? Like, or what the fuck?" Like, it's like, "Oh, no, it's not about that." I'm like, then why are you telling me it's about money and then you don't want the fucking money? Like, what the fuck do you want from me? And, it drive me nuts. They put the most, you ever had like a French onion bowls, John, like those fucking hilariously awkward, like shaped, stupid pieces of shit.
Yep.
That are ceramic and bulky. This place, for the stupidest reason, decided to put this on the top of their fucking line shelves, where they have like all the window and everything going on, and they're stacked like 3 fucking high too.
Sounds about right.
So, the dishwasher on the other side puts it on in a stupid fucking way, and I'm grabbing like the windows and something, so I fucking like shift the thing, and on the other side of my end, the bowl falls over. and breaks on the fucking floor. This dude starts screaming at me like, "What the fuck? Why'd you break the fucking bowl?" And I'm like, "Are you serious, dude? Like, what the fuck is your fucking deal?" And like the last day,
Why'd you break the bowl?
yeah, I don't know, man. I got a better one that he just wouldn't stop asking me. I burned a pita bread one time, and like me and Jeremy used to make jokes on me every time I burned bread because they'd always put their bread in a salamander and it always toasted so fucking quickly. And he'd always tell me I'm having a stroke when I'm burning my bread. And I burn out like a pita bread. And then this guy starts looking at me. He's like, "Why'd you fucking burn the pita bread?" And I'm like, dude, I didn't mean to burn the bread. Like, it was an accident. He's like, "I know that, but why'd you burn it?" And I'm like, dude,
do you want me to say I suck at cooking? Because there
like,
you go. I am not a baker.
I didn't put the bread with the mindset I need to burn this. It was a fucking accident, dude. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I don't know what your deal is. He's like, "Yeah, maybe you should fucking stop burning. You're wasting food costs." And I'm like, man, he's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, this
I
is
would
ridiculous.
say then
like,
stop putting me on baking.
it wasn't even baking. It was like window. I had to toast the bread for stupid shit. And then he's like, "Well, you should go home." And I'm like, "You know what? Maybe you're right." So I turn around, I start leaving. He looks at Jeremy, and he's like, "Jeremy, come make a new pita bread." And I looked at him, and I'm like, "Oh, careful, Jeremy. If you burn it, you might be a Nazi." And I left. And he's just like giving me death glares from across the kitchen. I'm like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself, pal." I'm like, I'm done with this. And then the next day I came in, and they're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, whatever, man. See you later." I was like pissed that it was all just because of this guy being a fucking douche canoe. Like, what a fucking waste of time. But like,
what was his job? Just to be slave master?
He was a night supervisor for one of the nights, but like he also worked.
So he's
at,
a
like,
slave
he was
master.
stocking shelves at a fucking at like Sobeys or something after he finished closing the restaurant. So like he worked 2 jobs and he had like a family. He was just some fucking grumpy old bastard. But he was a fucking like this old dude that was like he was a night supervisor. He's doing bitching and playing. He was like this old like Ukrainian kind of like Russian dude too. So he had.
Does he still work there? Do you know if
Probably.
So if he still works there, he must know what he's doing. So what the fuck are you doing wrong?
I wasn't doing shit wrong. I got burned by their trainers, dude. And then I got bitched at him for fucking occasionally burning bread.
Shouldn't have occasionally burned bread. Should have only.
Man. I was like the last day of my 3 months, and they decided to fire me. I could care less. It was a pretty shitty steakhouse either way. I got to meet Jeremy. That was the only thing good about it.
That's the place where Jeremy still works, right?
No. That was a place before that.
Ah. How long ago was that?
Like, I want to say like 6 years ago.
So what about the place after? Did you find
the place after was all right? The only thing is like the owners and the chef at the time were they fucked me on my pay, and then they wouldn't pay me back because like they're probably, I don't know, they're being dicks. They're like, "Oh, it's like too late," but I had like the payments, like they were supposed to pay me. They were paying me $1 less than they should have been, and I had my pay stubs for it. I didn't realize till it had been about a month or so later though. And they're like, "Well, we're not going to pay it all back because it's been too long, and like it's not like it's not long ago. We can't do that." So, but it was literally like up to that moment, they had been doing it, and it was like, "What do you mean? It was literally last week." Mm-hmm. But it was because it had been like a month or two, and then they fired me, and the sous chef was like, "Yo, just say that you quit, and then like go to fucking
WCB.
WCB about it, and then they'll probably get you paid back." I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't really want to get involved with a lot of shit. I don't really know. It would have been my first time dealing with all that crap, so I was apprehensive. I'm nervous as fuck when it comes to dealing with government shit. So I was like, whatever. I'll just play it out and I'll leave. Like, it's fine. I give a fuck anyways. And later, and I'm like, I had weird vibes about this place anyways, but later the owner and the chef died, and then the sous chef took over, and he's been like taking care of shit ever since. He's a cool sous chef, nice dude. He's a big nerd. He plays a lot of chills with like Lego. He's a big Lego builder.
So that's 2 strikes in your first 2 jobs.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't. They fired me because they wouldn't pay me.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Why don't you accept a less than valued you?
Like, sorry guys, like, you guys gotta pay me. So
They're playing you like a sports team. They need to test you out first. You get $1 less.
Yeah. Yeah, and, it was so dumb. It didn't really matter, man. I care less. It was just I actually had planned to move that winter, but then because of them like dicking me around, I ended up having to wait till this year, which then almost had to wait further. I was not having that, man.
But if you had moved it, we would have never met.
I mean, this is true, but I mean, who's not to say if I'd stayed there longer, I would have met other people that I probably would have never even met either, right?
You know, that hurts a little.
There's also people here that I meet as well. There's humans around the world, John. Each interaction is always unique.
There is no one around the world.
Okay,
Everyone's
maybe not
stuck
on the ground,
inside.
but yeah.
Everyone's stuck inside. Stuck
Catch the fly, John.
inside.
Catch the fly.
I actually
I just
caught
saw
it. I just
Did you?
don't. Yeah, I did.
I was like, I just saw you on your Twitch trying to catch it. It's too funny. And I had another story about this guy. I won't say the name. He had a lot of issues. There was this young kid that was always like on his phone. He was on the fucking sandwich station, and he could never like we were working at Montana's,
Mm-hmm.
and he could never like do anything. He was always just looking at his phone. He'd always forget shit. We always played kitchen jokes. I'm sure you played some kitchen jokes on people. But we played kitchen jokes on this guy because he was fucking a wiener. So
he had a job. He was on his phone.
his name, just to make everyone, just to say as a forewarning, it's not a very nice name. But this tends to come with kitchen nicknames.
Are you racist? No racism.
It's not, but at the same time, it's not. It's about special needs of sorts. So I didn't suggest the name. I just showed a picture, which was very similar to the one that the exact same one that I sent earlier of a soap bottle of a laundry detergent.
Okay.
If you remember that message from earlier. So I showed this picture to the group. On the soap bottle was a soap bottle of Downy, ultra soft, with person on the cover. It was a very unkind joke, but at the same time, everyone's like, that's going to be this fucking guy's name. His name's Downey, because he acts like he has Down syndrome. So we ended up playing fucking jokes on this guy all the time. He didn't like his name. Told him tough luck. You don't get to choose your name. Yeah. Really? He didn't like his name, John. He didn't. He really didn't.
Shocking.
I don't know why.
Yeah, right?
I couldn't imagine. I didn't choose it. I just brought it up. But this guy, he's just like he can never do anything. But we ended up. I heard this one joke my dad talked to me about that he played this guy, played it when he worked at McDick's, and I had to play it on this guy. So I got this guy when we were like kind of middle of the rush, not too much going on. I'm like, hey man, like so I had one of the supervisors come to me. We were talking about like some inventory stuff I needed to get figured out. I need you to go into the cooler. I need you to bring like something to sit on. I need you to get one of the jugs of pickles, like those 10-liter jugs of like the pickle spears, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know those, John? I need you to sit in there, and I need you to count how many pickle spears are in the jug for pickle inventory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So this guy's in there. He's like, "Oh, can't I pull it outside? Because it's going to be cold in the cooler." I'm like, "No. If you pull it outside, the pickles are going to get too warm. You need to count them in the cooler."
Okay.
So he's sitting in there for probably 45 minutes. And this guy comes back with a number, like 300 and something. I don't fucking know. So I'm like, let's see if I can take this a step further. Because, this is my dad's joke. Let's see what else I can do with this. So I'm like, hey, I'm trying not to smile and like laugh as I say this. Okay, I need you to do me one more thing. I need you to take the pickles in the back, and I need you to portion them. And I need 2 pickle spears for 3 ounces of juice.
Oh my goodness.
Really? That's
What?
amazing.
Oh,
And this guy's sitting
oh
back
my
there
goodness.
just so seriously doing this. And it's great because at the back area where he was doing it as our prep table was right beside the office for the management. And so to get to the office, you had to walk past the prep hall. So I'm doing online, and I know it's going to happen as I see one of the managers kind of come walking into the kitchen. As she passes by the kitchen to go walk around to the office. So as I see her casually walk by this kind of strolling along through the window and whatnot, she walks to the office. Split second, she immediately is like hurried stepped running back to the fucking window. She fucking puts her head down. She's like looking through the window. She's like, "What is that fucking idiot doing back there portioning pickles?" And everybody on the line just starts cracking. Like what? He's portioning pickles. Like, I don't tell you. She's like, just go tell him to stop. And I'm like, I guess. And I went back and I'm like, so yeah, buddy, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to put all those pickles back together. I was just fucking with you. And he just like looks down at the pickles, and he looks back at me, and then he looks down at the pickles again, and he's just like, "You guys are assholes." And I'm just like, "Sorry, man," and I just walk away.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
But this was only part 1 of the first time we fucked with this guy.
Okay.
So the next time, my ex had told me about this. She had just started working in a kitchen, and she always thought she was the smartest person in the room sometimes, so she thought she was all clever as shit, and she thought it was pretty hysterical that she got blown away with by this kind of. She was like she was going to go to animal sciences and be like a vet, and she was working in the kitchen, and she fell for this stupid ass joke too. It just made me laugh. But so
pride
not
cometh
too
before
much
the
in middle of,
fall.
like the rush. Yeah, exactly right. So not too much like a little bit into the rush. Well, I come up to the dude again, like, and I'm like, "Hey man, I need you to do me a favor. It's kind of busy, but I need you to go run to the bar, and I need you to ask the bartender for powdered H2O." So he goes out. He's like,
Powdered H2O, huh?
yeah. So he goes out there. I didn't know this. My kitchen manager is out there at the same time. He's sitting at the bar having a drink. I thought this could be hysterical as fuck. But so he goes out there, and then like he comes back a couple minutes later, and to my confusion, comes back asking me where the steam buckets are. And I'm like, in the back, and just like pointed to a random corner of the kitchen. And like in like some weird storage area, and then so he goes off, and then like I found out like this server comes back that was at the bar, and she's just like, I heard this guy come to the bar and ask for powdered water. Is he retarded? And I'm just like dying, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell her. I'm just, and she's like, you guys are so mean. You should tell him, like, you can go tell him, and I put him down the hall. And then she walks back there, and then, like, she goes back, and all you see is this poor puppy dog looking boy just sad shuffling back on the line. With the just look of defeat. Just like, I hate all of you. So I found out that when he went out to the bar, when he my bartender was a little busy, and he asked the kitchen manager, "Hey, where's the powdered H2O?" And my kitchen manager's like, "Oh, it's in back by the steam buckets." So he comes and asks me where the fucking steam buckets are.
Oh my goodness.
So the kitchen manager just got in on the joke.
Yeah, no, he knew immediately. But that was so great. I didn't even know. Like, I had just thought about this the one day because like my ex had fallen for it, and she thought she was smart as shit. And like, I'm like, yeah, you know, this is a good one. I heard about another one that they did. I didn't do it to this guy though. They told this guy they needed to go to the because we were at the Montanas by Sunridge Mall. If you ever know there, there's the East Side across the street, or like
Yeah, I know where it is.
So there's the two restaurants right beside each other.
East Side Mario's and Montana's.
So they had they had some new guy. They asked, I think the bartender asked them, they needed him to go get the de-icer, but they ran out from in the restaurant. They needed them to go to the to East Side, and they're going to give them these buckets. And they got to be careful with it though, because it's highly corrosive. So he goes over to East Side, and they fill him up with these literally to the full brim with this steaming hot bucket. And the guy's like, "Okay, you can't spill a drop, man. You gotta take this back." And they're like 10-liter buckets. Like,
Oh my goodness.
and there are two of them. So and this guy's trying to walk back with the de-icer that is severely corrosive. And he tells him, like, you spill it, like you're gonna fuck up the parking lot. You can't spill a drop, man. So like these two guys walking through the parking lot, slow as can be, with these heavy ass buckets, trying not to spill a fucking drop of water, and boiling hot water on the ground. But doesn't seem to think about, you know, how is the highly corrosive material sitting in these buckets? And he gets back, and they're like, "Oh man, good job." And when they bring the buckets to him, they just throw it all over him, and they're just like, "Oh god, what are you doing?" "Oh, just water." It's like, yeah.
Wow. Oh. Man, I'm glad I don't work with you.
Oh, it's good to sit in the kitchen. Sometimes you get some new cooks on a break when it's busy. It's a good way to distract them.
By playing horrible pranks on them.
Yeah. I mean, the construction guys do similar ones from what I've heard.
Actually, so I actually did work construction for a bit, and we did, I mean, as horrible as it is, we did pull some pranks. I mean,
I heard like ones where it's like, you got to go see Foreman over at the other shop site and bring him this like tool, and you give him like a hammer or something.
or the best one we ever got was, there was this guy we worked with. He was a journeyman, but he was horrible. He was horrible at his job as a framer. But he technically outranked me because I was just what's it called? I was an apprentice, right? So
Just one of the hard hats, boys.
So being an apprentice, I had to do what he said, and one of our manager, I guess, our framer foreman, he told us once, like, here, what you should do is tell him to go find a denailer, and just I think it was a denailer, yeah, something like that. No, it's called hold on. They told us to get. Damn, what did we do? Drywall mud or fixer. Like the point of the idea was it the tool that puts drywall back together.
Okay.
And so we go up to this guy, me and my buddy, and we tell him, "Oh, Hassan told us that we need you to grab this, and we're gonna frame this out while you go get it." This guy spent all day looking for this.
Oh my
Eventually, our manager comes over to us and is like, "Hey, have you seen Buddy?" And we're like, no." And they're like, "Well, when's the last time you saw him?" And we told him, and he started laughing, and we found him basically in the main, like in the site's tool shed, like the because we were just contracted out
Yeah.
looking for this item. And apparently, this guy named Lloyd, who was one of the head foremans
Yeah.
on the site, when he got asked by this guy for the tool, he
You know what?
immediately knew what was happening and said,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, it's just in the shed." And he's like, "You'll know it when you see it." And so they basically threw him in the shed all day because the whole site knew that this guy was an idiot. So like a couple weeks earlier, he built a pony wall, and we helped him build it, and we kept telling him it wasn't straight. And eventually, me and my buddy went and caught our foreman, Hassan, and we're like, "Yeah, so no, we don't think this is straight." And he looks out and looks at it, he's like, "That's definitely not straight." He's like, "Who the fuck built this?" And we're like, "He did. We just did what he told us." And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And he's like, "No, this thing's fucking horrible." And then he accidentally broke he ruined the roof and a bunch of brick. So he pissed off the roofers and the brickies in 1 week. Pissed off everyone. So we basically, as a site, just threw him in the shed. And whenever people would come and borrow stuff from the shed, he would ask them about this item. And we found out that they would just be like, "Oh yeah, no, you know it when you see it. I mean, you've probably used it 100 times. You're a journeyman, right?" And then they just leave him in the shed.
You got
And
this.
so we left him. We left this kid. I mean, he got paid for it, but he got stuck in the shed by the whole site.
At the same place I was at, we ended up having this new guy came in out of nowhere. There's like this younger kid that was like really like he was like the 60-year-old kid,
Mhm.
but he was like living on his own for a while. I guess I don't know. He skipped school, and he comes in. He's new. And he looks at me. He's like, "Hey man, do you know where I can find the bacon structure?" I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "The bacon structure." He's like, "I'm pretty sure it's in the back somewhere. Can you go find it for me?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's not a thing." Like. And he's like, "No, dude, it's totally a thing. Like every kitchen has one. I know it's a thing." And I'm like, "Dude, I've been here for however fucking long how it is, and like whatever you think there needs to stretch bacon with a fucking machine, you're dumb. There's not a thing here. That's that." And he just kind of smiled. He's like, "I guess you're right." He's like, "You're probably not gonna fall for it." He was trying to pull this stupid shit on me. He's like this new guy that just walks in and he's trying to like fucking pull some stupid kitchen prank on me. Like I don't know what the fuck is in my own restaurant. Get the fuck out of here, kid.
Tries to come up against the master. You don't know what you're in for.
I'll make you go pound pickles, bitch.
Fuck. Another site story when I was working construction was there was this one guy and came in. He was a framer, but he was a drunk, just a drunk.
Sloppy.
And like no, like he'd literally go back to his car, drink, and then come back on site and tell people what to do. But he went up and he drilled. So when you drill a stud in, you do, when you put in the top, you put two in, two on each side, right?
Yeah.
Well, he would only put two in on one side of each stud, and he didn't tell anyone. So halfway through the job, he looks at our owner and the other foreman, like the actual foreman of the site, and we're yelling at him because he doesn't do anything and he's a drunk. And then he's like, "Wait, you guys are gonna love me in a second." And he goes over to both of them and he's like, "Yeah, no, it's gonna take another 2 weeks for us to finish this before you can start putting board up." And they just look at him and they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, looks like someone only drilled one side of each stud." And that means we had to go through, because we were building a school, and we had to go through the entire
Oh
school
man.
and go up like
Oh,
10 or
wow.
15 feet and drill the other side of every single stud. And he got fired,
Yeah, dude.
but
No kidding.
we
What the
got
fuck?
an extra 2 weeks of work so that we got paid for.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious. I couldn't help but laugh.
Wow, that's so funny, dude.
And then he expected us to pay him for it. We're like, no,
I'd be like, here's $10, maybe.
no, you're not getting anything.
I'd appreciate the sentiment. That's about it.
Thank you for the extra work because you're an idiot.
Yeah, too bad you're an idiot. You should have thought about how you could have got paid off of this.
Or another one was our owner he was a character. We're gonna call him Luigi. And Luigi, because he was Italian, and Luigi.
I worked with a Mario, like an Indian Mario.
Well, I don't want to say his name, but his name is Luigi, and he was infamous for being broke. And he was going through a divorce, and his ex-wife, took all his money, so he couldn't pay us for an entire month. But that being said, leading up to that, he didn't really respond any faith from us. He was he was always walking around doing nothing, screaming, being a short little Luigi. And then and then we found out what he was doing before he lost all his money. Is he made a super low bid on the project, but he didn't price half of everything. So he basically cheated his way. And so there'd be entire little, and it was always little sections of walls. So there'd be half done projects throughout this site that people couldn't go forward on because Rocco hadn't finished working out a price, so he could bleed as much money as he could from them.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I didn't say Rocco. I said Luigi. I meant Luigi. Why do I keep saying that name? It's Luigi.
I don't know what you're talking about. That name was never heard of.
But
Chocolate.
the best thing is sometimes he wouldn't get the money from the company that contracted him out until Saturday, and he always paid us on Friday. So some Fridays he wouldn't have money, and he'd have to pay us on Monday. So he would some Fridays, and we always knew the Fridays because he'd be there right at 7 a.m. to yell at us because we're starting at 7:01, and then turn around and say, "Oh, but I have no money. I cannot pay you today. I'm going to have to pay you on Monday." And we're like, we
Go find a new job.
We have rent we need to pay. And he's like, "Oh, I can give you money for rent. I just take it off your check." And we're like, "Why can't you just pay us?"
Yeah.
And then one day, he decides to show up in a brand new truck. And I mean, it was like a 2017 just paid off completely new truck. And we're all like, wait. You tell us you have no money, and then you show up with a new truck? What? And then 2 weeks later, he couldn't pay us. And then he couldn't pay us the next week. And this was in December. And then the next week. And then we didn't get paid until the second week of January.
Oh.
A month and a half I didn't get paid.
Fuck.
It was ridiculous.
I would be so mad.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Well, on the note of horror stories, I had one chef that I worked at this restaurant and we had it was close to the Stampede grounds.
Okay.
And the chef was leaving, and he was getting this new guy coming in from somewhere else. And he was all like, "Oh, we're gonna do grass-fed burgers and these other things and stuff." And it's like, "All right, cool, man, whatever. I'm the night supervisor. Let me know what you need." this guy's the day supervisor. Let him know what you need. And yeah, that's it. And in his time there, he proceeded to push our day supervisor onto nights to try to replace him with his own supervisor, who was an idiot. Um, the day supervisor was a chill dude, but he ended up having to get a second job because like the conflicting schedules, and he ended up becoming like a bouncer. And um, it was right now. It was just a bit before, but he ended up he was there for a bit. He was bouncing a bit before, but he ended up getting pushed on and getting like less and less because of the nights. Eventually, though, I think he got fired because he got like an argument with one of the servers got there, and they're like, "Oh, he's harassing us." They like just immediately fired him. So shit. But later, I had a day where I came in and like I figured out, like I usually do cleaning schedules and stuff and whatever needs to get done throughout the day. And I had like a mindset of like, okay, well, this is like Tuesday, we're gonna get this done, get done.
Yeah.
And I walked in and the chef was like chilling at the bar having a drink. I'm like, oh hey man, what's up? And he's like, not much, doesn't really say much to me. And he walk down, and I get changed and I do my shit. As people come in, I'm like, yo, so today we're gonna do this, and I need you to get this stuff. And she's like, oh, like, dude told me we're gonna do this today, and he wants me to get that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. And like, I asked somebody else tried to tell them the same thing. They tell me the same thing. He already told them something else. I'm like, all right, like, I guess we're doing that today. That's cool. Like, whatever. And then later, like, he's about to leave or whatever. We go out and have a smoke. I'm like, hey, like, can I talk like to you for a sec? We go to talk. I'm like, hey man, like, so, I noticed that you gave everyone like a job when you came in. Like, that's all cool, and like, you don't really. I just want to let you know you don't really need to do that too much. If you wanted to tell them, something, you could let me know. Or like, I already had a plan of things to do, throughout the day. I already think about like the different stuff. It's usually what I do. I plan out and I think what needs to be done. And he's like, oh, you don't need to think. That's what I get paid for. And I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm like, I'm gonna go outside then. And after that, I stopped thinking for this man. And the restaurant, I think, crashed in 2 weeks, a month. We had different types of burgers. We had lamb that we'd use for our burgers. And we had like busbin that was like fucked up. And someone came up to me and they're like, oh, like, this busbin needs to be like, something's going on with it. I just need to put it in the cooler. I'm like, oh yeah, just throw it in there. I'm sure the chef will take care of it. It's all good. And we pulled this. He pulled like a meeting at one point for like a week later, and he pulls this busbin out of the fridge, and it's fucking green. And he's like, "What the fuck is this? Why didn't anyone fucking tell me about this?" I'm like, "Dude, how the fuck did you not fucking know about this? Like, do you not check your goddamn coolers? Like, you're supposed to be the chef." And we ended up having a Flames game rush. And then we started our fucking rush with no salads, no lettuce, no cucumbers, no tomato, no fresh ingredients whatsoever.
Wow.
And the general manager, and I had and it was so funny because after this dude talked shit to me and told me I didn't need to think, I went and talked to the general manager. I'm like, so I didn't really tell him that that's exactly what I said, but I'm like, so this dude doesn't seem like he's the best. And I tried to explain to him that like he seems to have issues and he's not really fully aware of how the kitchen works and how like there's people that are already here, jobs and placements. And the guy's like, oh, he's here because I want him to be here, and that's all you need to worry about. I'm like, okay. So I just went back to my job, and then the day of when this shit happens, I'm laughing at myself because I walk in and the dude is upstairs. The chef is in the office doing fuck all. And the least trained person is in the kitchen by herself, training a new person on how to put burgers in a pan. Like that you pull out of a box that are already frozen. And I'm just like, all right, this is how the day is going to go. And it's a burger place, so I'm supposed to have pre-cooked bacon, onions, and mushrooms. And I had none of that. And I'm supposed to have like a liter of them. And none of that was made. I had to rush all this shit because we were about to have a fucking Flames rush. right beside the fucking Saddle Dome, and that got went to shit. And then as it's going crazy, so I'm trying to get burgers going and crashing my ass off. And everyone's been bewildered of why we don't have anything for fucking salads. The general manager comes pulling into the kitchen with the chef, and he like opens the fucking coolers, and they're like the salad coolers, and they're fucking bare. And he's just like looks at them in front of the entire kitchen. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" He's like, "This is your fucking job, dude." It's like, "This is fucking bullshit," and he just turns around and walks out of the kitchen. And I'm just like, I'm trying not to laugh so hard, dude. And I'm like, "Wow, I told you so."
That's funny.
And that next night, I left my keys, so I'm like, I quit. And I had that job at the place where that I worked with that cook that was like a dick and burned me, and I called him a Nazi. But yeah, after that new chef came in, I was like, nope. And he made a fool of everything. And then I heard like not but 2 weeks after I left, the fucking place closed down, and it became the Still, I think is what it is now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that just ruined its reputation.
Yeah. I saw it coming. I tried to say something. Nobody gave a shit. Not my problem,
How do you
man.
how do you forget to order and prep salad?
Oh, one more thing that was genuinely made my fucking day. I couldn't believe how fucking retarded this guy was this day. So, and like I've done like we had the steam well, like for souping and stuff like that. And so sometimes, like I'll put at the end of my like the Cambros, if you have like the thick Cambros in there. But this guy fucking he had gravy, and he had soup, and he had like another container for like labels or whatever. So my day supervisor came on my night shift, and he's going to go refill the steam well, and all I hear him is like, "What the?" And he's just kind of like struggling for a second, and I kind of hear him snicker for a bit, and then he walks over. It's like go wash his hands, and he kind of like looks at me. He's like, "Andrew, I need you to go fill up the steam well for anybody." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Well, give me 1 second. I like finish up the burger, and I go to fill it up." And I don't even realize it as I'm grabbing like this plastic insert that is in the steam well. Not even like a camera, like the inserts and like the thin inserts. And this thing is fucking melted to the goddamn steam well because this fucking idiot didn't fill up the steam well with enough water and left it to burn. And the fucking Cambro was literally melted to the fucking bottom of the camera. I couldn't even take it off. And like, and this guy's giggling. I'm like, what? I didn't realize it at first. Why I'm having a problem getting this thing out? I'm like, what the fuck is the deal? Why is this thing stuck? And then I look at the bottom of it, and I'm like, I look down, and I just kind of like stick my head back up, and I look at him, and he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face. He's like, what a fucking moron, eh? And I'm just like, wow, dude. What? Wow. This stupid ass chef, like.
Nice.
I couldn't fucking believe it. I took a picture of it. I lost it a while ago, but like, yeah, this guy just left the plastic insert in there. It was so fucked, dude. Like.
Oh.
All right. Well, we should probably end it there. This was fun. We now have interviewed pretty much everyone. Jeremy's the DM. We had Sarah on, and that's Andrew.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty more things that you did not talk to me about, but...
Yeah,
there's always more things to talk about.
It's always a nice introduction. I've been Jay. This has been with Sarah Vike, Insanieac, and Jeremy McNeil, who was not able to join us tonight. And
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, sorry you had nothing better to do, but thanks for watching.
See y'all next time.
Yes.
And remember, don't go to Discord, don't go to Twitter.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Just download the app at justlikeness.com to join. Don't
Keep your
ask
stick.
questions. Justlikeness.com.
Watch out for bears.
Don't ask questions. Justlikeness.com.
Always watch out for bears.
Justlikeness.com.
Just so you know, Insanieac has a E